One more thing I want to check before I go ahead and finish my yoke is my sleeve circumference. So I'm halfway through. I have 16 more stitches to add. So is that going to be enough? And again, the way I determined what I wanted for a sleeve circumference is back to my sweatshirt here. And here is my sleeve. And where you want to measure is the kind of the fullest part of the sleeve, but after you've broken it away from the body. So we're going to cast on stitches at the underarm, and that is in your pattern. You can read ahead and find out. Spoiler alert, it's 6. We're going to cast on 6 stitches at the underarm. So after we've done that, then what do I want for a full? And this is just kind of 7.5 between. Yeah, just about 7.5. So all the way around, that would be 15 inches, right? 7.5 times 2. So I kind of want to add or aim for that. Again, give or take, it is kind of a jacket. So if it's not exactly that, that's okay. But I want to see if I am even close. So the way you do this is, you can do it with your gauge. You can just punch your gauge into this. How many stitches do you have divided by your gauge? But you can also, if it's easier for you, got strands everywhere here, just break out the tape measure and double check and see where you are. So right now, if I just measure, there are my markers, my sleeve markers, just about 4.25. So 4.25 doubled, I've got about 8.5 inches on that sleeve right now. I have 16 more stitches to add on my worksheet. So 16 stitches divided by my gauge of 3.5 means I'm going to add another 4.57 stitches, or inches, sorry, to the sleeve circumference, which is already, I'm going to add that in, 8.5 inches. So that means when I get to the end of my yoke or the end of my worksheet, I'm going to have 13 inches. And then we're going to cast on the 6 stitches. So if you take 6 stitches, again, divided by your gauge, mine is 3.5, that's going to give me an extra 1.7 inches. And so if I add that to the 13 that I'm going to have at the end of my worksheet, 14.7. So that for me is really close to the 15, totally ballpark, and I'm fine with that if it's a little bit narrower than the full 15 inches. So that also checks out, so I'm good to keep going on my worksheet. If you did get a number that you weren't pleased with, for instance, if you had, if that was going to be too big, you could erase some of these increases in your sleeve columns to narrow your sleeve a bit. On the other hand, if you're like, oh no, I want it much bigger, fill in some more increases here. When you finish, you can also cast on more than just those 6 stitches at the underarm. There's no reason you couldn't cast on 8 or 10 stitches there. So there is the sleeve circumference. That's the last thing I wanted to figure out before I go ahead and finish my yoke.